asking them to modify their position. All I say, speak the truth. And speak and that is why we have introduced the Access to Information Act. We introduced the National Commission on Science and Technology to coordinate the programs and develop the linkages with the sector of science and technology in both the public and private sectors. We brought a fresh approach to governance, including building into our programs community participation and ownership. That is how JCIF was born, to support education, training, health, community projects, to stimulate the creative industries and early childhood education. We use money from the Bauxite Fund for the development of projects in villages in the surrounding areas of mining. Tourism Enhancement Fund to spur amenities in destination for visitors and residents alike. The Inner City Development Program, the removal of big fences. Let me set the record straight on how we compare an economic growth, because I think it's an insult to our intelligence when they are claiming that they manage the economy better than the PNB. The World Bank data shows that between 1992 and 2006, the economy grew more than is the case between 2016 and 2023. What happened to 5 and 4? The 4 report card from the IMF that we received in 2006 spoke in glowing terms of what we had accomplished in our own macroeconomic programs designed by us. But we designed those programs mindful of our domestic challenges and social objectives. There can be no argument that in 2007 we left the economy of Jamaica in a much better state than we found it in 1970. The heavy investment in infrastructure and restructuring of the financial sector we undertook represents the vital change which has taken root and opened wide the doors for all the investments in tourism, mining, information and communication technology which has taken place since then. Don't let anyone else claim paternity. That is jacket. We sought to boost production. We never, ever lost sight of the obligation to secure social justice for all our people. At the same time, and this is not something we get credit for, we worked tirelessly to reduce political tribalism. We do not regard scarce benefits as the spoils of victory. We believe believe they should be allocated according to needs.
Yes.
And all of this was aimed at reducing political tribalism and thereby eliminate political violence. And I hope the government in its last few months in office it will take another session like this to get the record straight as to what triggered the initial complacent retort in 2012 by the then Minister of Finance when there were banking failures in both the United States of America and the United Kingdom. It is they who took us back to the borrowing window of the time. The PNP in 2012 inherited an economy which was faltering. The IMF had stopped sending the money. There was a complete absence of confidence in Washington and external capital markets. Jamaica was in deep mud. No one can deny that it was under the watch of Jamaica's 7th Prime Minister, Portia Miller, with Dr. Peter Phillips as Minister of Finance, that our international creditworthiness returned to a secure footing. It was the PNP between 2012 and 2016 which laid the course to reduce the debt ratio to GDP and to build up the net international reserves to historic levels. Since then, and I'm always fair, there has been a continuation along that path. But no one should be boasting about the present trends and forget which party made us turn the corner again. The People's National Party, or even worse, trying to spread false propaganda. They will preen on the indices and even try to explain when a recession by classic economic definition is not in fact a recession. I am not going to get engaged in that semantic row. What I do know is that there are too many families, some with 2 working parents, who simply cannot make ends meet. I know that there are too many young professionals who do not see when, if ever, they will own a home. I read reports in international documents that hunger and malnutrition in Jamaica have reached alarming levels. Why are they surprised that the birth rate is falling? And so, ladies and gentlemen, I believe it is high time, even those who are in slumber and denial, to wake up to the alarming collapse of trust and confidence in the country and the social alienation which is most severe among our disenfranchised youth. As a party, we cannot ignore the breakdown of trust and confidence in Jamaica. Nor will I remain silent when the moral order is under siege and the social order in decay. The institutions which we created to promote good governance are all being castigated and undermined. Even when the Auditor General makes a report that billions and billions of dollars are unaccounted for, she finds herself under attack.
That's right. Yeah.
We have to change course, and the PNP has to come to the rescue once again.
Yes.
In order for us not to be over the precipice. I am sure that the PNP under Mark Golding will in clear and precise terms tell the country how we will ensure transparency and accountability in government. Yes. Because that is our DNA in the PNP.
Absolutely.
To those who have sought to pervert history, I ask them, don't confuse your political opinion with the verdict of the people. For the people have spoken loudly and clearly in 93, in 97, and again in 2002. They logged on to progress because we did not forget the poor.
Yes.
Soon, the people will have the right to speak again. It is for us to tell them the story of the policies and programs that benefited the majority of our people, including our workers, the poor, the elderly, the children, and the most vulnerable. Ours is a record of solid achievements.
Yes, yes.
There is no better way to commemorate the majestic century of the immortal Michael Manley than to celebrate a victory when the trumpet sounds and the children. It is no longer my prerogative to lead on issues of party policy. There's a debate, budget debate coming up. Yeah. I expect we'll hear from our Minister of Finance designate about the new economy, how we're going to boost innovation, productivity, and the creative arts. I expect to hear from the President when he speaks an outline of the policies in accordance with the fundamental tenets of the PNP. How we're going to have a government which is honest, accountable, and progressive.
Yes.
I have every confidence they will pursue with energy and determination the party's quest to fashion a safe, productive, and quality society. No one, and certainly the laborers, never forget the outcome when I was the man to fly the gate. Whether in 93, 97, and 2002. I know I'm no longer the one to call it. And I don't intend to indulge in prophecy. But I can still read the tea leaves. And the window is closing. I take note that the 48th meeting of heads in Barbados last week accepted an invitation from the government of Jamaica to hold the 49th meeting of heads in Montego Bay on July the 6th to the 8th. So, in what those of us who knew the hurricane poem, June may not be any longer too soon. And I would suggest, Party Leader, that you issue the order to saddle up, time all your candidates, mount the horses. Let's get ready for whatever that time may come.
Absolutely amazing, comrades, absolutely amazing. There are no other words to capture what we just witnessed today. As we reflect on the significance of today's topic, lest we forget, we're reminded that the true measure of political achievement lies not in the accomplishments themselves, but in the lasting impact they have on the lives of individuals and communities. So may the stories we've explored today continue to inspire us to work towards a more just, equitable, and compassionate world. Comrade Leader, those are big shoes to fill, and the charge has been issued to you. And I know, and we are all here to say, we know that you're equal to the task. So with that being said, I invite you to the podium to make your presentation today.
Former Comrade Leader, former Prime Minister, Most Honorable PJ Patterson, Regional Chair Dennis Gordon, Outreach Chairman Andre Hilton, my comrade parliamentary colleagues, members of the Shadow Cabinet, Worship the Mayor, Kingston and St. Andrew, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, comrades all. What a tour de force. PJ Patterson is really a national treasure. And it is so important in this era where misinformation flies around cyberspace at alarming levels and speed, and where our opponents devote considerable effort to revise history in ways which seek to denigrate, understate, and otherwise misinform about the achievements and the performance of the People's National Party in the various iterations of government where we have led. Almost as if they realize that if the truth is well understood, it will be obvious to the electorate where the right choice lies. And so I want to commend the Outreach Commission and the regional outreach committees for conceptualizing and implementing these two symposia in which our beloved former party leader and Prime Minister has had this opportunity to, as has been said, set the record straight, lest they forget. And he has done so with great distinction and persuasiveness. And, sir, I know your birthday is coming up soon, and all I can say is that you are an example to us all of the power of acuity of mind, the ability to research and to deliver such persuasive content with such ease. And all I know is that you're going from strength to strength, sir. You really are. And I must tell you what a pleasure it is and how fortunate I feel that you are still so active and so generous with your time and your ideas. And I, for one, have benefited greatly from our interactions, and I look forward to that continuing long into the future. Comrades and friends, we are meeting at a time when Jamaica will be facing the polls in short order. I am pleased to say that your party has its 63 candidates in place. We have been focusing on the preparations for the elections which are coming. We have been strengthening, auditing, fine-tuning our organizations in the constituencies. And we have been making other preparations to ensure that when it comes, we are ready. I ask each and every one of us here, in keeping with the traditions of our party and its noble and transformational achievements over the many years of its existence, that we all find a way to play our part in ensuring that we secure a very critical victory for our party and, more importantly, for Jamaica later this year. Each one of you can and should find a way to play a role in making that campaign successful, and I implore you all to do so. We are going to be taking the reins of government. In very challenging times. We have the world political order going through a process of rapid change, which has created great uncertainties as to how the future will play out. At times like these, we must rely on principle as our guide. And our party has always approached issues of international relations and foreign policy from the standpoint of principle. And we are also committed regionalists, and we see the necessity of tackling some of the emerging challenges on a collective basis, because unity is strength, and we are facing potential challenges that will require us all to pull together as a region to ensure justice prevails when attempts are made to knock us off course. In terms of our economy, Jamaica has achieved significantly debt sustainability through the sacrifices and fixity of purpose of the last 10 to 12 years. I, like others, am very proud of the leadership of Portia Simpson Miller and Dr. Peter David Phillips, who grasped that nettle when it was at its most challenging and deployed the political capital that existed at the time to ensure that we navigated very challenging reforms and high primary surpluses, which meant there wasn't a lot of money around to do other things, and stood by it because the future of our country depended on it. And this government inherited a situation where the heavy lifting had largely been done. The debt to GDP ratio had been brought down from the dizzy heights of over 140% to 115% in just 4 years, through a combination of tight fiscal management and creative debt dynamic reorganization. In particular, the deal with the Venezuelan government when we bought back the Petrocaribe debt at less than 50 cents in the dollar. Having got the debt to GDP ratio down now to the high 60s, with the target ultimately in law of 60%, we realize that the future requires a different approach. Because even though our debt is no longer the heavy burden that it was, we are, as a nation, in a stagnant economy. Economy that is characterized by low GDP per capita levels, way below our peers. So the national wealth is much lower than it should be. We have low unemployment on the official statistics, but vast swathes of our workforce are unskilled and are employed in low-tech and low-wage jobs, where we have the second highest level of brain drain in the world, and where our balance of payments is absolutely dependent on the generosity of the diaspora in supporting Jamaican families through remittances. We have to completely re-engineer our growth model, starting with energy, which is really the key element to a more productive economy. And I'm glad that I have with me Comrade Philip Paulwell, who is a man who always sees the big picture and the opportunities to deliver transformational change in his portfolio. Food security is going to be critical in the era that we are in and what is coming at us. Recent reports of the FAO indicate that 55% of Jamaicans are facing moderate to severe food insecurity, meaning that they are unable to have a balanced and nutritious diet, and many of them are underfed. We have to deal with that situation. And Jamaica is blessed with tremendous potential to produce food which is in demand here and abroad. And we need to focus on our agriculture and agro-industry and ensure the necessary inputs and support for our farmers are put in place so that we can achieve a much higher level of food security for our people. The education and health sectors are both characterized by a sense of crisis. Comrade Patterson outlined the situation in the healthcare sector, where if you have to interact with a public health facility and you need to be admitted, you are in a very perilous situation where you could be facing protracted delays in very uncomfortable conditions. And even though you may eventually get ahead, there's no guarantee. When you have to deal with the costs of the diagnostic tests, because the equipment is largely not working in the public hospitals and it's being outsourced, and you have to purchase all the various medical inputs at tremendous costs, you realize that to be poor is really a crime in this country because of what our people have to go through. In education, we are a mixed bag. We have centers of excellence, institutions of excellence that are performing at levels comparable with anywhere else in the world. And yet we also have significant deposits of underachievement and underperformance, which are shown in the statistics that over 30% of the children leaving primary school and entering secondary school in Jamaica cannot read and write, cannot do basic arithmetic, and lack the facility for critical thinking. That is a recipe for national disaster, because those children enter secondary school without the basics, which the curriculum at secondary school level assumes that they have. There are no proper arrangements put in place to remediate that situation, and many of them end up leaving school with nothing to show for it. And their prospects in a highly competitive world are dim. And of course, we know the avenues that many of them feel compelled to pursue, and that is what is feeding our problems of high levels of violent crime. We have to have a strong policy to remediate this situation in the early childhood and primary sectors. We have to deal with the realities in the secondary system. For those who are in it and are not at the levels that they need to be, we can bring them back up. And we have to deal with the financing of tertiary education in a way that makes education accessible to our people who need it most, especially those from low-income families. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to be making a big policy speech, but I just wanted to highlight the fact that we are in a new era, and an era which requires new solutions and new approaches. But we're up to the task, and we will be doing it with clean hands and a clean heart. And restoring trust and confidence in the political leadership of the country. A situation which is at the lowest ebb it has ever been, with a Prime Minister who has been under investigation by the Integrity Commission, can't have his integrity declaration certified, is suing the Integrity Commission, seeking to strike down Jamaica's anti-corruption laws, and there are 8 parliamentarians who are known to be under investigation for illicit enrichment and sitting in the Parliament. And of course, in any decent democracy, they will disclose that so that the electors know who they are when they're seeking re-election. So this is a time when we will have to take these issues extremely seriously and ensure that we build back the trust and confidence in the democratic processes of Jamaica, because those processes are under threat, not only here, but across the world. And it is only through doing the right thing and using the power proposed in us to uplift our people and to use the resources that are available to us exclusively for the benefit of the people, that we will ensure that democracy survives and the freedoms that we enjoy will be prolonged into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, I have one main task tonight, and that is to introduce to you, we are in Region 3, and I wish to introduce to you all of our candidates who are going to run, other than those who are already members of Parliament. So I'm going to just need to borrow my phone. To ensure I don't leave anyone out of this. And when I call their names, I'm going to ask them please to come up and to just stand on the lower level, so that when everyone is gathered, then Comrade Patterson and I will stand up behind and we'll have a nice photo opportunity. So, and I'm not taking any particular order, I'm taking the order that was given to me. So, the first candidate that I will call to stand right here is an attorney at law, graduate of Kingston College and the University of Studies, a man who has acquitted himself well at the criminal bar and has proven himself to be a formidable candidate in the constituency of East Rural St. Andrew. I call on Mr. Patrick to come forward. The next comrade I will call is the daughter of one of the great stalwarts of our movement. She has had a career which has spanned various sectors but has been particularly involved in financial services. She is a very principled person and committed to serving people with a sense of love. And I believe that when she becomes a Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Andrew, she will be transforming our constituents and bringing to a better place. I bring to you Comrade Patricia Duncan Sutherland. Our next candidate is also an attorney at law.
Okay.
And she is the daughter of another luminary of the People's National Party. The sheriff is here, and his daughter is in town. And she is taking on the task of challenging for the seat where I live and vote, Northeast St. Andrew, a seat which we haven't won for a long time, but where she's facing an opponent who's near the departure lounge and anywhere else. And she's bringing to it incredible energy and is getting tremendous support. And I call on the state tonight to join us. The next candidate is also an attorney at law. Established his own firm, having previously worked in the public sector. He is also our deputy spokesperson for foreign affairs and foreign and regional affairs, and has acquitted himself well in that area. He has taken on another challenging seat, North Central St. Andrew, and he brings a fresh approach to a seat where the incumbent has been there for longer than any of us cares to remember. But he will not be running back, and so it represents a tremendous, as far as we know, so it represents a tremendous opportunity to bring a new change there. And I know that Christopher Henry is up to the task. Candidate is not an attorney at law. She is a development specialist with a great interest in community development, women's affairs, and agriculture. She grew up in rural Jamaica, but she has taken on the task of bringing home Northwest St. Andrew for the People's National Party. And she's doing it with a zeal and fervor, which I think has her opponents on the back foot and wondering what has happened to them. And we're very happy with what we're seeing there, and we're looking forward to her doing extremely well and bringing it home. And I speak of no other than Comrade Ethne Miller Simpson. Our next candidate is none other than the regional chairman. And he is a businessman who has built a remarkable business, providing services, labor and other services, and also in the health field. He's pioneering a new business to bring more cost-effective medication and procedures to Jamaica for the benefit of less well-off persons. He has a great experience in land resettlement and upliftment of communities that have been traditionally underserved, and was very involved in the program that delivered those 58,000 titles which we spoke about. And I believe Comrade Dennis Gordon, East Central St. Andrew. The next candidate is a man who served and protected for many, many years and built a reputation as a fair and fearless crime fighter. A man who also was able to build tremendous relationships with the people in the communities that he served as a police officer, and is highly regarded in the force today. And I bring to you Steve McGregor, Central Kingston. And last, but by no means least, two more. Okay. Yes, I have two more. Thank you. I now bring to you a powerhouse, a dynamo, an organizational genius who has the capacity to work at levels that put the rest of us, I wouldn't say to shame, but definitely in a different class. She has proved herself since joining our party as somebody who can deliver, turn around in fortunes, and played a major role in the 7-Love whipping that we gave the Labour Party in the local government elections in Hanover. She has gone into West Rural, St. Andrew, where she has an opponent who we would all like to see get us in the next election. I bring to you Comrade Sean God. You can see we have a decent gender balance. Yes. And we put a lot of effort in, encouraged by our president of the women's movement to make sure that happens. And last but not least, we have a seasoned politician, a man who has won a seat before which many thought we could never win. A man who has served in government in the same program dealing with land supplement and community upliftment for underprivileged areas, where he acquitted himself with aplomb. A former footballer and cricketer of distinction, and a man who hails from the great constituency of South St. Andrew, which I have the privilege to represent now, but who is going to be taken home, back home to the People's National Party, no other seat than West Central St. Andrew, which has a long tradition of being in the column of the People's National Party, and where we see the opportunity to restore that tradition again. I bring to you Comrade Paul O'Camp. So comrades, there you have it. These are our candidates other than the ones who are already in Parliament. Myself, Comrade Philip, Comrade Tony, Comrade Angela, and who else? Comrade Julian. Thank you very much. So at this point, I would just say let us gather behind our PJ.
Could you just close in, please?